Hello, welcome to this MagiCAD webinar. Today we're going to look at the functions that we provide in order to inject Revit families with custom parameters. These could be the shared parameter file that you use in your company, or it could be other shared parameter files, maybe a COBie shared parameter file that you get from the add-in. It doesn't really matter, but either way, we have a tool which can really help you configure your families to contain these shared parameters. And I'm going to show you how we can do this for MagiCAD library, which is our products. So you can configure them before they even become families in the project. And we'll also look at creating them for, say, third-party RFA families, which already exist, and how to configure those, again, either in or not in the project. So, firstly, let's go into the data set. And in this data set, you'll see all the products that are available within this particular example data set. Of course, MagiCAD users will know that this is actually just a holding file for products that you can configure and ultimately download anything from our library into this data set. The examples I'm going to use, I was looking at this supply air device here, and you can see there's a list of some supply air terminals. And if you look, let's say, just pick this one here, you'll notice that within this sort of configuration screen here, this menu, you can go into additional properties, and then in here you can see that we have two different ways of configuring these additional properties. The first one we're going to look at is share parameters, and if you click on the configure button, you will see that I've already added just a couple of COBie parameters in there. I've just got some example ones in, and then I'm just going to cancel out of there. And you'll notice this very bottom one here, I've actually brought in a third-party family. This is an RFA, so it's not from our library, it's just an RFA. And if I look at that, if I just go into there, you can see that it's using the image from the RFA in this window here. But it's very configurable, just like most other MagiCAD products. But again, in here, you can also configure the additional properties. So again, you want to do share parameters or IFC. We'll cover both these today, by the way. And again, you just hit configure. And this has a different set of parameters. Got some extra ones in there that I've put in previously. So how do we add this family into this data set? Well, in this drop-down menu, for those familiar with MagiCAD will know the browser or the cloud will go to our online database. All you do is hit from disk and then just navigate to your location of your RFA, and then it'll load it into the data set. That's all you've got to do. So that's quite straightforward. So in summary, we'll have a data set with a combination of MagiCAD products in the online library and also some RFAs from our own library. And of course, this is just an example of supplier device. You could do this for attenuators or any category really, electrical. You could go into sockets and do the same thing in there like that. It's exactly the same process to add the properties in, like so. So I'm just going to come out of there again. Let's go back into supplier devices where we were before. So how do we add parameters to these objects? Well, firstly, we have to go into the actual product itself. So we'll go into there, and in the additional properties, just click that menu and go to share parameters. In this example, click on configure, and all you do is click on edit, and it pops up this window, and you can see in this top description here it says from selected shared parameter file. Now that's the parameter file selected to this project, and that's using Revit's own function in this manage tab here, which is shared parameter file, and you choose one. And what this does, it reads the shared parameter file. These don't have to even exist in the project yet. They can exist in the project, but don't have to. And it just reads that shared parameter file before they even exist. And you can choose any of these parameters. So I could just choose, I don't know, created on, click on this arrow, and you'll see it puts it into the next menu here. And you can put a default value. So I can put something, I know it's not COBie compliant, but I don't have to worry about that. I can put a value in there, and that will be the value, the default value that will always be used for that parameter as you add it in. You can choose yourself a group for the parameter to sit in, so I'm going to choose identity data, and you can also choose whether it's type or instance. This is very, very similar to adding a project parameter in Revit's own native function, but it's just doing it through MagiCAD, but then applying it into families, as we're going to show in a minute. Choose whether it's type or instance, so for this one, I'm going to call it instance, then press OK. And that's it really, that's as easy as it is. You just pick and choose from there, configure them, and they'll appear in there. Just press OK, and then just press OK on that. When you're happy with all the parameters being configured, just press OK on there, and then I'll just close that. And now when I install this product, I need to choose that same, you can double check this as well, that same air terminal. You can always double check it from the install product menu, and you can see there it is. So great, that's the one I want. And then I just press OK, and now it's going to create the family, and what it's going to do is add those parameters into the family and obviously the project at the same time. So let's give it a few seconds to do that. So there it is. Click on that, and then just press apply, and there's the family created. If I click on there, you can see, if I go down to identity data in here, you can see the parameter exists with the default value of today. So the idea being that you can go into this data set and you can create as many of those parameters, as many products as you want with those parameters, and that can be your default, so any project in the future can also be used them, so you can save yourself a lot of time recreating that. And the beauty of this MagiCAD system, when you use our products from our library as well, is that they don't even exist as a family yet, so you don't have to configure them as a family like an RFA. You can always add your defaults in here and change them before it's even a family. But of course you can add these additional properties as default into there. Let's have a quick look at third-party families. So again, if I just open up this third-party family that I got from the disk, or a local source, I guess. In here I've got some different properties. So we've got to configure, you'll see I've got some different ones there. So now I'm going to add those in to the project. So I can go to install product. By the way, you can still do this from install product. You don't have to go to modify dataset. You can still access it from install product. Like I showed you just before, you can just double click on that and you're straight back into that menu as well. So that's another way in. And now I'm going to press OK, and now it's going to create this family from this third-party family RFA into the project, but also add those parameters into this actual family itself. So when it's done that, let's give it a few seconds to manipulate that family, and when it installs it, I'll show you where you can access the parameters. And it's worth mentioning at the moment as well why it's doing that. I'm showing, just happen to be showing, because I'm in the UK, this COBie parameters, which are quite important in this market area. People demand them on projects. It's a set of standard parameters for those who don't know that projects and products can be delivered in. You will need to use as well some kind of COBie plugin. So there's free ones available from Autodesk, like the COBie toolkit, and that actually allows you to set up a project for COBie use and COBie export. And if you want to export it to spreadsheets, you can. You want to map parameters, you can. So obviously, you can configure this to have default values in, as I said, in the data set, as I showed you before. But you can also configure it to work with map parameters from our or your own parameter values, if you like, within the project. So it's quite flexible how it works. So here's this third-party family that I've added in, and you should be able to see as well that the COBie data exists in there. There's instance parameters, and there should also be also the parameters in identity data in here as well. You can see in there. So they're the type parameters. So you can see it's doing what it should. It's importing those parameter values into the family as defined in the data set. So what we're going to do now is have a look at the family itself. So go to Edit Family, and you will see there's the actual product we've downloaded from the MagiCAD cloud of the product library there. And if I look in my parameters here, you should see that under identity data, the COBie parameters exist. This is a very important distinction. That's why I'm showing this. So these are actual family parameters. So if you share those families with other people, they will have access to those parameters. So the important distinction is the tool is actually putting the parameters into the families rather than having just to create them as broad project parameters, which can then sit in the project but not actually in the family itself. So you have to share the project with other people. But here you can share the actual family and still have all those parameters created. So I hope that makes sense, and I hope you can see the value in how that would add parameters into any of your products that you want, any of your families, and how you can save a hell of a lot of time, because otherwise you'd have to edit each family one by one to do this and then create the share parameters within there. So you can see how that will save a lot of time in this process. A couple more things to mention just on that. If you want to add parameters to multiple products at once, you just click additional parameters, and again you can just configure and add as many parameters as you want, and that will apply it to all products. That again saves you time, because if you know you're going to have the same COBie fields for every single or same shared parameters for every single item of a supplier device or an extract grill or whatever it is, whatever product it is, you can just multiple select and then add the parameters in at once. So you can do that quite easily. So I think that's covered everything I want to show in terms of the adding of parameters to products quite easily. The next thing I want to show is a similar idea of additional properties, but it's not parameters, it's just IFC types. So those who use IFC may know that when you export from Revit, you need to have these defined as IFC types. And if you click on additional properties here, you will see that you can now click IFC classification, click configure, and now you can start defining some IFC types and subtypes to these properties. So I can say, right, there we go, I want that to be a diffuser, and press OK, and press OK, then press close. And now when I go to install product and click on that one, again, you can always do it through install product and just double check. So if I go into there, you can see that I've got my diffuser type selected. So let's press OK, and we'll create the product now. Then press OK there. And then with this, if we go to edit type, we should have IFC parameters in there. That's actually an important point. I've already had this existing in the project, so I haven't updated the fields. So I was going to come on to that as the last thing, so let's show that. What you can do is also update to the project as well. So if you select any of these, you can also go to additional properties again, and if it already exists in the project, you can also update to the project, so it'll actually update things that already exist in the project. So at the start of this session, I showed how you can add parameters before you create the family. If you click update to project, this will actually update to the project using that tool there. So if I go to here now and go to edit type, that should have updated that. So you can see there, it now says diffuser. So what I've done there, I've gone into my properties, created this condition with these properties of IFC, pushed it into the project, and it's updated any family of that kind that already existed. And of course, if I installed it, again now, then clearly it would also continue adding them parameters, all those IFC types into the project as normal. You can also, just finishing on IFC, you can also, in the common tab, you can also set IFC type via this method, which will do it for any parameter, any product or family that already exists in the project. So I can go to, again, supply air terminal, choose that, and I can go to my air terminal type, choose whatever it is, a linear diffuser or something, whatever it is, and you just press this, and you can see that then becomes an air terminal type. So again, press OK. It'll update that family in the project to that IFC type. So I hope that has been of some use to you, and you can see the value that is added by those tools. If you want any more information, then please just contact us. We've got lots of channels there that you can access MagiCAD through. If you're based in the UK and Ireland, then please contact us via the information on the screen now, and we can give you any more information you require. So thanks very much for today, and I'll see you on another webinar soon. Thank you.